Authorities are investigating the death of a South Carolina pastor's wife after her body was found in a state park about a week ago. Pastor John Paul Miller told his congregation that his wife, 30-year-old Mica, took her own life after struggling with mental illness. But her friends and family say otherwise and want police to, quote, deeply investigate what happened. More than 100 people rallying outside John Paul's church in Myrtle Beach, demanding justice for Mica. This happened on Sunday. Our very own Kelsey Kernstein has been digging into the story. Kelsey, some pretty startling court documents revealing what may have happened just before Mica died.
Yeah, hey there, Hannah. They really are startling. So according to reports, just days before she died, she filed multiple times for a legal separation from her husband. We're also learning that she even filed for divorce back in October. Then Mica posted on Facebook about abuse just weeks ago. The video offers advice for people who may be in an abusive relationship, and some believe that this video is proof that Mica was in one herself.
God hates divorce. But why? According to everybody I've asked and the scriptures that I've found, it's because it hurts people. But does abuse hurt people? How do you think God feels about that?
God showed me a dream a few nights ago. In the dream, I was outdoors, but it looked like I was under a tent. And I remember there was a river there. It seemed like it was like a carnival or something like that. I was observing a couple. It was a woman who I couldn't tell what her ethnicity was. It looked like she could have been Hispanic or white. She seemed like she was in terror. She seemed like she was so stricken with fear, traumatized with fear. I can feel her fear. I wanted to intervene. I wanted to see how I was going to help her, but the man that was next to her seemed so enraged that I couldn't really do anything. He looked kind of tall. He looked like he was a white man, and he had dark circles around his eyes. He looked like he was enraged. They both was looking ahead, and it looked like they were so focused on whatever they were trying to do or wherever they were going. She was looking down. It was almost like she looked like she couldn't even think to go anywhere because she was so scared. The man, the rage that I felt coming from him, it seemed like if anybody would have tried to intervene, he would take them out. He would cause harm to that person. I don't know why God was showing me this. When I woke up from the dream, I didn't write it down. I normally write my dreams down, but I didn't understand. And I was asking God, I'm like, God, why are you showing me this? I don't understand. Who are these people? I meant to post about it. I was going to say, God is showing me a couple, a woman who could be Hispanic or white, and a man who's white. I don't know. This woman is going through abuse, but I never did the post. I didn't understand. I was like, God, why are you showing me this? This is why it's so important to be obedient, because when God puts somebody on your heart and your mind, even if you don't know the person, I just did a video about that. God is laying them on your heart or your mind for a reason. He's giving you a dream. And even if you don't understand it, take it before the Lord. We may not understand why this happened to this woman, but I pray that God exposes every bit of darkness. That is what God is doing in this time. He's not going to allow the things that's been going on privately, especially in the church. He's not going to allow it to continue to go on. Every secret, every hidden evil thing that has been done, God is exposing it. Just like with Cain and Abel, when Cain ended Abel's life, the blood of Abel cried out from the ground. There are people who have blood on their hands, and they're hiding behind religion, and they're hiding behind this image. God is taking those people down. God is not going to allow people to continue to masquerade and pretend that they represent his kingdom when they are fraudulent. Just because someone is in a position as a leader, that does not mean God is in agreement with them or that God positioned them. This is the time of exposure, and God is no longer going to allow people to continue to misuse these platforms. God is bringing judgment. Judgment starts with the church. There are a lot of people that are being abused right now. People are so in bondage to fear because of the abuse. God sees it all. I've experienced abuse when I was younger, and I had to cry out to God to help me. And I prayed and I cried out to God, and God stepped in and he gave me step-by-step things to do. But he told me not to look back. And I ended up looking back and I suffered for going back. This is the thing, we have to trust in the Lord. If you're someone who's going through abuse, you have to really put your trust in God, because a lot of times it's ourselves that gets ourselves in these positions. And unfortunately, once you get in those relationships, it's almost like you're in prison and you have to seek the Lord to reveal to you what to do. Because when you are under abuse, it's psychological warfare and you're not wrestling against flesh and blood. It's a evil spirit behind that person that's causing them to behave that way. And it's like you're facing a Goliath, like a giant. But just as well as God gave David the power to slay the giant, God is giving those people that feel like they have no voice, he's given them power and authority. Regardless of someone passing, God can still move beyond the grave. And sometimes God will use someone's story to be the person that helps others to be set free. So I pray that this woman gets justice. I pray that her soul rests in peace. I pray that every person who's experiencing abuse, I pray that God will set that abuser free, that God will arrest all abusers. Because even the person who's doing the abuse, they are broken, and their brokenness turned to bitterness and then rage and anger. There's a root to everything. Everybody starts off innocent. When they come into the world as a baby, they don't start off as abusers. They grow to be this way. So we have to pray for those people who do these things. We have to pray that God sets these people free. I pray for that man. I pray that God delivers him, and I pray that God delivers all abusers, and that God will show them the error of their ways. And I pray that God will heal all wounds, and those who have been inflicted with wounds and have been torn down by people that have been speaking word curses over them. And I pray for those women or whoever who's experiencing abuse. I pray that God will set the captive free. I pray that God will expose all this abuse, and I pray that justice is served.